Unscripted, unfiltered, unapologetic. Diner stops and real talk. The voice of farmers, not politicians or promise makers. Just honest conversation about agriculture's biggest issues. At the table today. This is The Farmer's Table, an original series from Pivot Bio.
Hi, I'm Andrew McCrae, host of the American Countryside and a farmer in Northwest Missouri. At diners all across farm country, good food and good conversation are on the menu, a place where community is built. In a time of volatile commodity markets, talk always seems to turn to the price of grain. And that's our focus in today's episode of The Farmer's Table. We have three farmers who join me at the table. Kelly Garrett from Arion, Iowa, Carolyn Raasch from Liberty, Missouri, and Steve Pitstick from Maple Park, Illinois. I kick things off by asking the group if they've ever seen a time when market action has been so volatile and so unpredictable.
We've had short bursts of it throughout our career, but this has kind of lasted longer than what I'm used to. Is this the new normal?
I thought that the years of 08 to 12 would be the best income years of my life, and I never thought we'd see things like this again. And here I feel like we've surpassed it.
But at the same time, I mean, our expenses are way up as far as, I don't feel like the percentage-wise they were that much earlier. So, we've got to cover that somehow.
Yeah. I think back when I started farming in high school in the mid-70s, way back then, it was a really good time. It's kind of like it is now. Mm-hmm. I remember you could sell a semi-load of beans and buy a new pickup. So we're not quite that good yet.
The pickups are too high.
Pickups are too high, yeah.
Or if you could get one.
If we can get one, yeah. But hopefully the beans, never know.
Well, how do you control for that though? Because, it's great to sell the beans for that much, but you're right, everything costs more and it's all about the margin. Yeah. So are you doing anything to try to make sure that you lock in the margins right now?
It's a challenge. Okay, so last year we were able to buy ahead. Mm-hmm. We bought a lot of fertilizer, we bought a lot of chemicals this time last year, 21. But I don't see those same opportunities being here for next year. So we've got this high, $1,000 or $1,200 an acre investment in the crop, and we've got to be selling something because there's a long ways to fall. It's a little scary.
Yeah, it's hard to know what to do when it's like this.
You just watch it one day, you think, oh, that's just got to be it. That's got to be the end, and then 2 days later, it just depends. So I don't know.
New contract highs today.
Yeah, I sold beans or corn at $5 because I thought it was, in my career, that was awesome.
Yes.
And then I went to $6 and then $7. So I'm selling a little bit all the time, but I'm running out of corn if it keeps going. So I just trying to capture some of this all the time.
We have put hedges in place, but then we will have some option strategies to be open to the top side that have worked really nicely. And I think in an environment like this, you have to watch the bottom side with the hedges, and you need to take advantage of your brokerage account to stay open to the top side if you can in a responsible fashion.
Yeah, just try to leave yourself enough cushion, but at the same time, it's like, $8? Come on. That's that'll cover a lot of diesel.
We always have ups and downs, but do you all think that, you mentioned a new normal, are our prices just going to be at a new level and we bounce between a new range? Or are we headed back down someday to $3 corn?
It'll go back down. Okay. I remember 1996, yep. I was still, my wife was still in college. I was working there before we came home to the farm, and corn was $5. And I remember saying, well, this is the new normal. And I thought I was going to move home to farm and sell $5 corn, and I sold $2.35 corn that first year. So never say never.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was at a pro farmer seminar that summer, and they talked about the new plateau we're at. And
yep.
Yeah, it just, we as farmers will go out and just bury this market. Every year we go to the field trying to raise the biggest crop we can, no matter what the price is, whether it's low or whether it's high. And at some point we will get ahead of it and bury the market, and then prices will be not what we want.
The perfect storm will go the other way.
Yep.
Is what it'll happen,
Yep.
I think. Yeah.
The cure for high prices is high prices.
Well, when the perfect storm goes the other way, though, how do you protect against that? I mean, are you all thinking about it right now? I mean, how
Sometimes you just ride it out. I mean,
yeah.
we rode it out back in the 80s and everything. We rode out everything back then.
Sometimes you can overthink it.
Yes, you have to remember your past experiences, not try to reinvent the wheel. You know, and a time like this, you're adding cash to your reserves and things like that. And in a tough time, you know, you're watching your pennies. You know, but I also think that, you know, my grandpa told me one time, he's like, when everybody else is running, you should walk. And when everybody else is walking, you should run. And you need to keep your powder dry so you can do that.
Farmers have always taken care of what they value. They cultivated bountiful land and fed a nation hungry for progress. As Americans dialed up, precision on the farm led to yields once thought impossible. But when it came to nitrogen, it wasn't precise or predictable enough. Farmers deserve a nitrogen worthy of who they are and what their land can provide. And now there is one.
Something you said made me think, though, you know, the 80s were tough, and some people didn't make it through that. So should we be, you think, taking some back in to weather the storm if the storm's going to go?
I think you have to. You have to be ready for whatever they're going to throw at you, because it's not your own doing anymore. It's not your own, you know, fact that you're raising the crop and trying to get it out, and even the marketing of it. But it's all these factors that we have no control over. That we can't do anything with it. So yeah, there's a lot of that outside going to us, I think. So
I've heard my dad talk about, you know, it used to be if you worked hard and kept your nose clean, everything was going to be okay.
Yeah.
And you can't count on that anymore. There's so much outside risk that you can't control that you have to be able to weather that storm if it comes.
yeah, COVID came in and just absolutely threw everybody under the bus, you know. And so that wasn't even anything in the world that we would have thought that was going to happen. So where'd that come from?
Yeah, things are always changing. I heard the term a long time ago that the seeds of despair are sown in the best of times. So like now when we're making a lot of money, we're buying stuff with payment plans based on today's economics. And it's 3 or 4 years from now, it was like, what the heck was I thinking? And I think back to the 80s when my dad was farming. He'd lost a couple farms in that high interest rate time, which we're seeing shades of that now. But the farming part of it, the actual operations, were making money. But it was that commitments that he made in the good times that capsized the operation. So trying to keep that in focus a little bit as we go forward through here, this rough time here, or challenging time. I hope I can keep the ship afloat, but
Sometimes I think it also takes that to even bring the next generation back into focus, because I know even our kids, when they got out of college and things were pretty good, and you know, the first couple of tough years, you've never seen anything like this, Mom. Oh yeah, we have. No problem. You've never seen anything like this. And I go, really? You want to bring that up? And you know, and now they're like, oh, okay, well maybe you have. And so I think we've had a while, and you know, kind of need a little adjustment.
So with these prices, think back to your marketing. What's your biggest mistake that you look back on and say, boy, I never want to do that again? What did you learn from?
there's not one.
How much time do you have?
He stole my line, yeah, whatever.
The one that stands out for me was like 2005 or 6. For most of my career, I sold corn with $2 something. Corn went to $3. I sold like 90% of my crop for $3, and then it went to $5. I gave up more potential money than I had made in like 20 years. But I had no idea. I thought I was managing the risk. I was taking that reward. You know, everybody talks about selling at a profit. I did, but I missed that opportunity. So did I get behind in my operation because somebody else won? But I think over time, all of us make good moves and all of us make bad moves, and we kind of average out. We all talk about that one time.
Coming out of 2011, we had some $6 corn that we sold ahead of time. That was great. Then the market went down. In 12, when it got back to $6.50, we sold a lot of corn. And then it went to $8. And at that time, I was not educated enough on the brokerage account, re-ownership, things like that, to be able to capture that top side, but you're always worried about the bottom falling out. And now we use our marketing plan, our bushels, our brokerage account, our federal crop insurance. That's a 3 or 4 leg stool right there. And when you think about the dollars that we have invested, like you talked about, a 10,000 acre farm's $10 million, a 20,000 acre farm's $20 million. Think about the amount of money that is invested there and the lack of education and understanding we have on using those tools. It's frightening.
Yeah.
And I have been guilty of that in the past, and I don't want to be anymore.
Voices of experience and lessons learned. That's what the Farmer's Table is all about. And we sure got a big dose of it today. We want to thank Kelly, Carolyn, and Steve for sharing their stories and unique perspectives. A lot of wisdom to be gained from this group. I'm Andrew McCrae. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on the Farmer's Table.